Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. In the last part, after leaving Kokiri Forest, we found ourselves here at Hyrule Castle, having to wake up a certain lazy farmer. And now we have a continuing stealth section like the outside of the castle. We have to patiently wait for these soldiers to be in a certain position for us to run around them as not to not get seen. However, unlike the first section outside the castle, I believe if you get caught here, you just get thrown back to the outer rim of the castle itself and not to the front gate, period. I say I think because honestly, it's been a couple years since I got caught here and I don't quite recall. There's a couple ways you can go through almost every single one of these rooms. I think only the final room usually has the one way of getting through it. Because some of these things you can go above them, some of them you can go behind them. As long as you're not directly in front of the soldiers usually though, you won't get spotted. The annoying parts of this is when they start to pace out the walking cycles for the two soldier rooms, like this one and the next one, as they're paced out in such a way and their walking speeds are just different enough that sometimes they might not line up right for you to move through them for a bit. I think the longest I've been in one of these areas is 10 minutes, and it's mostly just because these last two soldiers interacted in way too nice of a way with each other. This section did give me trouble as a kid, though, but that's just because I had trouble understanding patience and timing and stealth as a kid, and period. To the point where one of the hardest sections in game history to me as a child was the Forsaken Fortress first visit in Wind Waker, which was also a stealth section. And I think I also had a lot of trouble with the Minish Cap stealth section, too. Mind you, that's just a relatively tight section in general compared to these. Never really had trouble with the Majora's Mask one, though, for some reason. I guess it's just relatively simpler, is the big thing. And the second stealth section in that game, you have a mask to get around it anyway, usually. But at the end of it all awaits us this courtyard. And to progress, we actually want to talk to the obvious person in the distance. But there's two windows here. If we slingshot them... Hey, you! Don't cause any trouble. You got one guy that chucks a bomb at you. God dang, guy! One of your royalties probably out here. And over here, if you look in the window, you can see Mario 64 renders for Yoshi, Peach, Mario, and on the far right, Bowser. And if you slingshot this particular window, you actually get some money out of it. Single 20 rupees, which is nothing to laugh at this early on in the game. With that, though, let's actually do the thing we're here meant to do. Who? Who are you? How did you get past the guards? Oh? What's that? Is that a fairy? Then are you from the forest? Then you wouldn't happen to have the spiritual stone of the forest, would you? That green and shining stone? Do you have it? Again, these are but thou must situations. Just say yes, you'll save yourself some time. Just as I thought. I had a dream. In the dream, dark storm clouds were billowing over the land of Hyrule. But suddenly, a ray of light shot out of the forest, parted the clouds, and lit up the ground. The light turned into a figure holding a green and shining stone, followed by a fairy. I know this is a prophecy that someone would come from the forest. That's a very awkward sentence. Yes, I thought you might be the one. Oh, I'm sorry. I got carried away with my story and didn't even properly introduce myself. I am Zelda, Princess of Hyrule. What is your name? Link. Strange, it sounds somehow familiar. Okay then, Link. I'm going to tell you the secret of the sacred realm that has been passed down by the royal family of Hyrule. Please keep this a secret from everyone. Again, but thou must. Sure. The legend goes like this. The three goddesses hid the Triforce containing the power of the gods somewhere in Hyrule. The power to grant the wish of the one who holds the Triforce in his hands. If someone with a righteous heart makes a wish, it'll lead Hyrule to a golden age of prosperity. If someone with an evil mind has his wish granted, the world will be consumed by evil. That is what has been told. So, the ancient sages built the Temple of Time to protect the Triforce from evil ones. That's right. The Temple of Time is the entrance through which you can enter the sacred realm from our world. But the entrance is sealed with a stone wall called the Door of Time. And, in order to open the door, it is said that you need to collect 3 spiritual stones. And another thing you need is the treasure that the royal family keeps along with this legend. The Ocarina of Time. Did you understand well the story that I just told you? Yeah. That's great! I forgot to tell you. I was spying through this window just now. The other element from my dream, the dark clouds, I believe they symbolize that man in there. Will you look through the window and at him? Sure, I don't see any reason not to. It looks a little bit familiar. Can you see the man with the evil eyes? That is Ganondorf, the leader of the Gerudos. They hail from the desert far to the west. Though he swears allegiance to my father, I am sure he is not sincere. The dark clouds that covered Hyrule in my dream, they must symbolize that man. Huh? What happened? Did he see you? Don't worry. He doesn't have any idea what we're planning. Yet. Yes. I told my father about my dream. However, he didn't believe it was a prophecy. But I can sense that man's evil intentions. What Ganondorf is after must be nothing less than the Triforce of the Sacred Realm. He must have come to Hyrule to obtain it. And he wants to conquer Hyrule. No, the entire world. Link, now we are the only ones who can protect Hyrule. Please. Sure thing. Thank you. I am afraid. I have a feeling that man is going to destroy Hyrule. He has such terrifying power, but it's fortunate that you've come. We must not let Ganondorf get the Triforce. I will protect the Ocarina of Time with all my power. He shall not have it. You go find the other 2 spiritual stones. Let's get the Triforce before Ganondorf does, and then defeat him. One more thing. Take this letter. I'm sure it'll be helpful to you. We have received Zelda's letter. Wow! This letter has Princess Zelda's autograph. Set it to C and then show it with C. On the select item subscreen, you can set it to either the C buttons and then use that C to show it to people. Cool. My attendant will guide you out of the castle. Don't be afraid to talk to her. Attendant, where did you... I mean, I guess you probably just walked up while we were talking, now that I think about it. I am Impa of the Sheikahs. I am responsible for protecting Princess Zelda. Everything is exactly as the princess foretold. You are a courageous boy. You are heading out on a big, new adventure, aren't you? My role in the princess's dream was to teach a melody to the one from the forest. This is an ancient melody passed down by the royal family. I have played this song for Princess Zelda as a lullaby ever since she was a baby. There is a mysterious power in these notes. Now listen carefully. Just press the respective C buttons. That's how you usually play these kind of songs. You don't even need to play them in tune, just as long as you get the notes in. We've learned the Zelda's Lullaby. If the castle soldiers find you, there will be trouble. Let me lead you out of the castle. I mean, hey, fine by me. Don't have to backtrack, that's a nice bonus. You brave lad. We must protect this beautiful land of Hyrule. Take a good look at that mountain. That is Death Mountain, home of the Gorons. They hold the spiritual stone of fire. At the foot of Death Mountain, you will find my village, Kakariko. That is where I was born and raised. You should talk to some of the villagers there before you go up the Death Mountain. The song I just taught you has some mysterious power. Only royal family members are allowed to learn this song. Remember, it'll help to prove your connection with the royal family. The princess is waiting for you to return to the castle with these stones. Alright, we're counting on you. No, what? Ninjas? In Zelda? More likely than you think. Especially at this point in the franchise, now that I think about it. Given that Breath of the Wild had an entire side quest where it was evil ninjas. Alright, so now we need to head to Kakariko. We can get there during the day or night, it doesn't matter, unlike Hyrule Castletown. Kakariko Village is always open no matter what time of day it is. Though, obviously, things are only really active during the daytime because people need sleep, man. And this is one of my favorite towns in Zelda history. And it's mostly due to the music. I love this song. Ding dong, ding dong. I'm a clock soldier, Kakariko. The current time is 2:57. Hello there, son. Zelda's attendant, the Great Impa, opened this village to the common people. We have only a small population now, but someday this place will be as lively as Hyrule Castletown. Oh, yes it will. Climb up the stairs at the north end of the village to find the trail that leads up to Death Mountain. But you need the king's permission to actually go up the mountain. But luckily, we sort of have that. Now, the reason I love this town is between the music and the color palette and the amount of people, it's just very relaxed. It's probably the most relaxed version of Kakariko we'd ever see in terms of population numbers, at least. Technically speaking, Twilight Princess's Kakariko was more relaxed, but that's because it was empty as hell. Now, there's a bunch of stuff we can do in here for right now, but I want to head in this direction first. Have you seen Mr. Dompe, who lives in the graveyard up ahead? It's about 3 right now, so he's probably asleep in his hut. Why don't you go out onto the field and kill some time? Kakariko Village, like the Hyrule Castletown and the Lon Lon Ranch that Gaebora brought up last part, does not have time pass while you're inside of it. Same with the graveyard here, because it's an extension of the graveyard, plain and simple. Now, there's a couple things we can do in here, and I'm just going to do the main 2 that you can for now. Because there's obviously one giant grave up here, but there's also 2 smaller ones next to it. Royal Composer Brothers, Flat the Younger, rest in peace. Oh god, ghosts! Ah! Alright, this is technically our first encounter against an enemy type known as a Poe. The way they work is they'll kind of stay invisible a lot of the time after you hit them, and either swing their lantern around in a circle or come circle back to make themselves visible again, in which point they'll attack you then. However, the time they try to attack you is more often than not when you can attack them, so just go all out, jump attack, do whatever you can. I don't like their enemy type though, just because they take forever to fight, compared to some of the other enemies. Ah! You killed me! Unbelievable! Oh, what? You're not one of Ganondorf's men, are you? Because of my role as a ghost, I had to act like that. I apologize. Now then, let me introduce myself. I am one of the ghostly composer brothers of Kakariko Village. All the people in this village are born to serve the royal family of Hyrule. We brothers also serve the royal family, and were assigned to study the hereditary mystic powers of the family. Though we never could figure out the power of the Triforce. We had almost completed our study of controlling time with the tones of ocarinas. I mean, actually we did complete that study. We would have been famous if that hateful Ganondorf had not tried to steal our results. We could never let him reap the fruits of our research. That's why we gave our lives to protect the secret. Do you want to hear what I said again? God, no. And over here. And just to save some time, I'm going to fast forward this fight. Again, my general mentality for these parts is to be between 15 and 25 minutes usually. But I'd still rather be in a nice medium between the two. Ah! I'm dead again! What? You again? Somehow you remind me of Princess Zelda. Since you may have some connection with the royal family, I'll tell you a little more of our tale. Back then, people called us great composers because of the many musical masterpieces we wrote. But we brothers were not just composers. We had a mission to analyze the mysterious powers of Hyrule's royal family. Our names would be a part of Hyrule's history if we could complete our research. We kept our study extremely secret until we completed it. To tell the truth, each of us was studying a different song, one to summon the sun and another to summon the moon. If you were really sent by a member of the royal family, I'll tell you about the results of our study. We inscribed it on the royal tombstone. As a messenger of the royal family, you should show your royal credentials on top of the Triforce mark. Do you want to hear what I said again? No. General rule of thumb, if you ever see a Triforce mark on the floor or on a wall, stand next to it or on top of it and play Zelda's lullaby for something secret. I say that realizing a lot of the times it's actually required for progression. So let me get this straight. The royal family tomb, if you want to access it, routinely blows up and they have to make a new tombstone. That's just ridiculous. Also, falling down the holes in the graveyard is annoying. At least in the version I'm playing. In version 1.1, I believe, they would change it so that you wouldn't automatically grab onto the ledges there. But in version 1.0, not so much, because I am playing 1.0. I forget if I've mentioned that yet. Although on that topic, I know I've already revealed that I am playing the N64 version. But just to show my dedication to making this feel more authentic to me, I actively ordered a N64 to USB converter. And I'm using that so I can properly use my N64 controller, and it worked overall pretty well for this LP. Though there were some occasional stickiness, namely with the Z targeting. Sometimes on the N64 version, it acts more like an analog button, where when you are holding the button it works, and when you're not, it doesn't. Sometimes on this emulator and with combination of the actual N64 controller, it acted more as a digital button, wherein I needed to actively press the button again to stop Z targeting. Thankfully, that didn't matter too much. Also, don't worry about the zombies back there. Just walk past them. They might screech at you, but you can get past them, no problem. This poem is dedicated to the memory of the dearly departed members of the royal family. A rising sun will eventually set. A newborn's life will fade. From sun to moon, moon to sun, give peaceful rest to the living dead. This is an interesting poem. Huh? Something's inscribed on the tombstone. It's the secret melody of the Composer Brothers! And now for probably the most useful song in the game, in terms of how much you're going to be using it throughout. We've learned the Sun Song. Restless souls wander where they don't belong. Bring them calm with the Sun Song. Alright, the Sun Song is a dual-purpose melody. One of the few songs in the game that actively has more than one purpose beyond maybe Zelda's Lullaby, really. Whenever you see an enemy of the dead, such as these re-deads, if you play it near them, it stuns them for a relatively good period of time, either allowing you to easily take them out, should you want to, or to just run past them. And I'm just going to cut out of there, because that's the only thing I really needed to show off in the Royal Tomb after that. Next up, around the graveyard, you might notice it's now nighttime. That's the other thing the Sun Song does. It switches areas from day to night. In areas like towns, it'll actively return you to where you entered last from, and then switch from day to night. But in the overworld areas like Hyrule Field, it'll actively just show the transition from day to night sped up. Now, my next duty is actually 3 things here in the nighttime graveyard. First off, there are 2 particular gravestones that you can pull out of the way to get some bonuses. One of them requires fighting a Redead, even though it's not actually required to fight this Redead at all. You just need to play the Sun Song when near this little platform. By the way, Redeads really hurt. I actually would not recommend fighting this thing. Just get around to where I am here and play the Sun Song. Then to not only stun the Redead a second time, but to also make the chest I'm here for show up. And this chest is a rather important one, as it's the first in a series of many that contain one very particular item. There is another collectible beyond just gold Skulltulas in this game, because we have returning pieces of hearts. Collect 4 pieces total to get another heart container. More containers means more life energy. And it's here I should note that I am going to be getting some pieces of heart in this game somewhat out of order. More on that starting next part, I believe. But it is worth noting just because of how out of order I'm getting them. Usually you can tell if a gravestone will have something beneath it if you pull it based off the fact if it has flowers in front of it like this one does. Also, that guy there, that's Dompe the Gravekeeper. We'll be talking to him in a moment as soon as I can actively get into this hole. Link, stop grabbing the ledge! Thank you. And in here we only have the one chest and a destructible wall behind it that we can't do anything about, but we do have a Hylian shield. Switch to the equipment subscreen and select this shield, then equip it with A. This is a very interesting item in that you need one technically starting 2 parts from now-ish for the next dungeon, but you can't actively use it as you're too small for it. You'll see what I mean later. Either way, we actually want to talk to Dompe now, as he's useful for the next little thing I want to do. Hey kid, don't mess around with the graves. I'm Dompe the Gravekeeper. My face may be scary, but I'm not a bad guy. Let me give you an advertisement for my side business. Dompe the Gravekeeper's heart-pounding grave-digging tour. What's gonna come out? What's gonna come out? When I start digging, we'll find out. Do you want me to dig here? 10 rupees for 1 hole. Alright, so what's happening here is that there are 15 soft dirt patches like the one he's standing on right now across this circle of the graveyard's pathway. You need to slowly wait for him to shamble from one to the next, and when he gets over one, you can have him dig for 10 rupees for a chance of various items. You can get 20 rupees, 5 rupees, 1 rupee is the most common thing, but on each dig there is a 10% chance that another piece of heart will pop out. This can take you 1 minute, this can take you 10 minutes. I do believe you are guaranteed to get it out of at least one, because I think one patch natively has a 100% chance of dropping it, but which patch that is, I think randomly changes every time you exit and enter the graveyard. I got it within 5 minutes here. On my practice run, it took a full lap and a half. Because there are a couple of patches that are 2 patches that are right next to each other, and sometimes a collision over which one he's on isn't exactly the best. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 5, we're going to be neglecting story progress for a little bit just to explore Kakariko a bit further and do some side stuff around the area. See you guys then.